Welcome to Come to Mama. Thanks for showing up for those who may. Um, so, the title tonight is Who Says You Can't? I've been a Who Says You Can't before in the past, and um, that was about open relationships. And I just want to basically talk about who says you can't in general. So, um, one of the things that, came to mind was finding a new job, finding a new position, finding your life path in life. A lot of us, including me, are at the place where our jobs are, no longer serving our needs, maybe income or um, a lot of different things that we're realizing, maybe occurring in our lives where we need to be making some changes. And so, who says you can't? The only one that stops you is you. So it may take a little work. It may take some, you know, uh, going back and, looking at interview questions and trying to figure out how to um, answer interview questions or um, things are changing now. So a lot of stuff is online. So, you may be able to find a job that's online that's convenient from home, something that pays a good amount, for you to be able to survive. But ultimately, I want to be doing something that I love to do, something that I enjoy to do. And that is being a life cheerleader and helping people out, helping people find their passions, cheering them on as well. Um, a lot of people in the world just don't have people who are confident in them. Believe it or not, that comes from an early age, when, you know, uh, you don't have people confident in you, you don't have anybody pushing you, you don't have anyone who is excited about what it is that, you may want to go into. And so a lot of times, um, they'll have, you'll have people in your life, whether it be family or friends, that when you tell them something that you like, they totally downplay it. I understand how that is, because I have children and, I've had my children, even from me, come to me and say, I want to do this, that, and the other. And, um, I get into, oh, is that realistic? Do you understand what it takes to do these things or the other things? And that kind of just totally kills you know, their drive to look into something new. I've had children that have gone to college, and so they had one particular um, study that they wanted to go into and get their degree in, and then they changed it in the middle. I think that's the wonderful thing about life is while you have life in you, you have the opportunity to make changes and learn new things. And as I say, there's the whole world wide web now. You got YouTube. I mean, you can get a YouTube education just to establish um, and kind of do research and understand what certain jobs entail. Um, like my children, my son, he's 10 and he's on a basketball team. And so I told him, I think you need to work on your ball handling skills. And what we'll do is we'll go on YouTube so we can watch some ball handling skills. And then you can go outside and you can work on those exact things. That's educational right there. You can go on, look at something and someone, you can find hundreds of people to show you hundreds of different ways of doing things. Um, and, for me, I want to eventually read tarot cards and for people to help, help them give some guidance. Um, I also would like to counsel people and, do what I can to help them figure out. um, you know, what field they want to go into, what is their life path, what's something that they would be happy in working with in their life. Because ultimately, what I'd like is to be able to have a job where, I'm getting, my currency, my money for, things that I love to do. I don't want to have to sit at a 9 to 5 every day and do something that I really don't love. Granted, I'm thankful for my job because it provides me with income and benefits for my children and I. But who says that that's the end all be all? And who says that spirit's not going to provide you with what you need, if you decide to go in the path that you choose? So I see many entrepreneurs around me. I see a lot of people have been, creating these positions or jobs or businesses for themselves. And I find that it gives me inspiration, is what it is. So, YouTube, I decided to come on YouTube. I plan to evolve on this channel. I plan to, I will be meeting people. I will be interacting with people eventually. And um, what I'd like to do is probably set a scheduled time on here because I've noticed that I got a couple of views. Maybe they just don't know whenever I'm going to come back. So maybe they don't just subscribe, or, they would like to have a specific time to interact. So that's what I'm working on with my creative endeavors to on my life cheerleading and interactions with the world. But anyway, back to who says you can't. We have these certain standards that are set up by society, by our families, by the way we were raised. And so I have a lot of people that get set in their ways. And when you get set in your ways, you close yourself off to so much. I have a friend who she's like, well, my family was this way and my grandparents is this way. And that's how I was raised. And that's it. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a traditional, stable basis of how you were raised. But like Gary Vee says to people who are like, I've been doing it this way, or I've never been able to do it that way. Well, he said, you never driven a car before, but you learned how to drive. You learned how to operate, because you had the will to learn and then master it, right? So that's what, you know, whatever it is that we're doing, um, that's what we're doing. We're trying to learn new things, figure out where we fit in, create a place for us to fit in. You know, um, it has a lot to do with the people who you have around you. And, I would say that in the last year and a half for me, I've moved away from a lot of people. I am not in contact with people anymore because I found that they had things to say that were underhanded. Like, someone would say, oh, you have a very pretty face, but you need to lose some weight. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's your opinion. But maybe who I get with likes my weight, you know? Um, maybe they love my heart. Ultimately, when people say those self-limiting things to you and you believe them, you know, you limit yourself and you don't believe you're worthy. So it's important to have a strong stability in knowing who you are. And that's what I'm learning about myself and what you can do too. And how do you learn, how do you create stability for yourself? Well, sure as hell is not listening to other people. And if you are listening to people, you're listening to people who are a cheerleader for you, someone that when you say, I want to try this, they say, oh, let me, how can I help you figure that out? Oh, oh, okay. Well, you know, let's do some research on it. And then they call and check up on you. So whatever happened to that such and such thing, whatever, they kind of keep you accountable and they support you, right? Kind of like how a parent supports their child when they want to play basketball, right? Kind of like how, when my children want to go to college, we are going to research and figure out where is the best place for them to go that's going to meet their needs and their goals. And, you know, it's ultimately up to them. But as a life cheerleader, we support and cheer them on, right? So ultimately, when I say who says you can't do anything that you want to do? Um, I personally find for myself the only person who tells me I can't is myself. So I have to push beyond that that saying that negative talk to myself. And I also have to be honest with myself with certain things that I want to do. Do I really want to do that? I need to do the research into it before I get into it because it may look glitz and glam and beautiful and may seem, fun, but do I want to put the work into it that it takes to do these things and master them? Um, I currently take a class now through Spiritual Ascension University, and what I'm taught is many different subjects of spirituality. And the professor, um, her name is Melanie. She's a spirit doula on YouTube. She said that she set these classes up to where she gives you the basics of astrology and numerology. And as time goes, the subjects get more in depth, the homework gets more in depth, but it's really to teach you to learn more about you, look into yourself on how you deal with things. And then that's how you learn what your strengths are in some of these types of things that you may want to work with. Spirituality is very broad. So, there's so much more than just a tarot reader. Tarot readers need to learn a lot of things. They need to learn about the planets, they need to learn about the constellations, they need to know about what the signs each mean, they need to know numerology. I mean, not all, but some are very in depth that way. And the more you know, I think the more valuable that you are. Now, there are some people that are intuitive readers who can look at cards and then they listen to what spirit is telling them and they can read off those cards, in their mind what their um, intuition is telling them. It's very creative, is what I find. And then also being able to trust how you feel, what you feel you're being told um, by your spirit team, um, or based on the person that you're giving the reading for. It's just a lot to it. So I think for me, when I do become and do my tarot readings, I want to have my own style, right? Because there's no other person like me that's going to see things the way that I see it. And I hope to be a help to someone. But again, when it comes to spirituality, there's just so many facets to it, just within yourself. And when you learn certain things, that even when you're being taught certain things and they give you the basis on some stuff, but some of that stuff may not resonate with you. And I think that when you learn um, to trust, you know, how you feel about a situation It doesn't mean that you can't disagree with someone who's a master teacher. But I think one of the important qualities, and I don't remember who I was listening to, but they were saying that one of the skills is for communication is talking, writing, and listening. So being able to listen to someone explain what their interpretation of what something is, or what they read out of a book, or how they were taught, that's a real skill. Now, whether you have to agree with them or not, it's different, because you don't have to, because you can agree to disagree. That means you can respect what they're saying because that's how they're seeing it, and you can also trust your own intuition and guidance of what you're being told of what certain things mean, right? So that's the beauty of being different from everyone else and authentic to yourself, is having your own way of seeing things. So you see some of the greatest minds in the world that so many people resonate with, they're not afraid to express what they believe, and they share what they see, and their brain interprets, and they put it out there, and then a lot of people are just in awe, like, wow, some of the greatest minds, like, I never thought about it that way, or and I think that that's a great thing. Some people just have that ability spiritually. It's just like they're um uh grasping so much information, or given so much information to share, and it's definitely a great thing. And but and it's something that I believe that you can learn to do. Who says you can't? Right? Who says you can't? um but finding your niche, finding wherever it is that you um feel where you need to be, and grow with that, is probably a great way to get to know you, and trust yourself and your knowledge that you're learning. Um, Again, there's people, they'll say, oh, you don't read for yourself, you don't do this, that, or the other. Well, again, you can communicate, you can write stuff, and you can listen. And through all three things, I've learned so much. So, who says you can't learn something by somebody telling you? I mean, your soul knows if it's right for you or wrong for you. It'll tell you. It just won't sound right, and you just don't quite understand it. So then you have people that feel like, I know that as a child, um, I didn't understand a lot in class, and I got held back in the fifth grade, and it had a lot to do with um, immaturity, and I just wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't ready to take in, and it was tough for me. But that next year, it was a review of a lot of stuff, and I matured some, which helped me grasp a lot more. And plus, I went to school. I went to a Catholic school for 9 years. And, with the Catholic religion, I didn't agree with a lot of what was going on, even when I was a child. I mean, it just didn't make sense to me. I enjoyed some of the rituals, like, going to mass as a student body, and I enjoyed singing. And, there wasn't all bad things. I mean, anything that's teaching you righteousness in a sense of helping your fellow man, and literally feeding the hungry, because we used to go and feed homeless people. And number one, it gives you a chance to see the advantage that you have on some people, and how very lucky and that we are as people, because it could always be worse. um we literally did some um community service, and we also got to go to some of the mothers who had children that they were housing and helping, shelters. And it gives you a different perspective in life when you get to get dropped off at school and you go home and your mama cooks dinner and you got homework, and you have a comfortable bed to sleep in, and you have that stability in your life, as to these women who were either on the street, and they had children, so their children were on the street cold and hungry. And so I feel lucky and grateful that I've always been taken care of spiritually. I've been taken care of, um, and I know this. So, um, I guess going back to, who says you can't? Who says you can't have whatever you want? If you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to learn, you can have whatever you want. Now, let's talk about stability. Let's talk about that base chakra. Um, a lot of us struggle with stability in that, just within ourselves. And there's ways of working around that. There's ways of learning how to create more of a stable environment. There's people around you that can help you as well if you pay attention. You can learn from watching other people. You can learn from talking to other people. You can go on YouTube. There's so many different YouTube channels on how to clean your house or make it more conducive to the environment, scheduling things. There's apps that schedule stuff for you. There's just so much out there in the world to assist you. But ultimately, my biggest um, recommendation to people is learn yourself, learn about yourself, pull your birth chart, learn about where your Chiron is, learn about where Capricorn is in your house, because I just learned that usually the house that Capricorn's in is where you were uh, somehow mistreated in your life, because of your special gifts, because we are all different. So some children are much more rambunctious than others. Some kids are just laid back and calm, right? And there's many different ways that we could traumatize a child. I mean, you could traumatize somebody from beating their brother in front of them, but though they didn't get beat, they didn't understand that dynamic. They loved their brother, even though maybe the brother was talking back and being disrespectful, and so the parent, whooped them or over punished them in different ways, and that could cause trauma to their siblings, because they love their siblings regardless of how hard they are, or how hard they are for the parent to deal with, right? um and then there's specific traumas in our life that happen to us, and it stops us from moving forward and growing, and a lot of times we'll create some crazy behavior or some type of behavior that's meant to protect us, but it ends up hindering us even more. So um, we have to decide and learn that about those things about ourselves. So that's how we can, once we learn what the things in our lives that are hindering us, we can try to work with those situations and change them up, and understand that it was really a part about making us stronger. Um, if you knew that you chose your parents or the people around you in these contracts before you came here. I feel for me, that helps me say, okay, well, I chose this. So it was here to make me stronger. It was here to show me something about me. It was to bring something out in me. And so, therefore, I don't stay caught up in the emotion of what someone did to me because I understand that I chose these situations before I came here. Some people believe that, some people don't. But it helps me move forward in the future and be able to move on when I understand, well, if I chose this, then I needed to get through it. I felt that this is something that I needed. And it could be the worst things, but it could just be for you to teach you your self worth. It could teach you to speak up for yourself. It could teach you to be um, more creative. It could teach you to um, relax. There's all kinds of things. It could be teaching you. I'm doing a YouTube thing, so kids. So anyway, there's just so many lessons in this life that um, when we look back and we're really honest with ourselves, is what helped us mold us to who we are. Now we have to decide from here: are we productive in our lives? Are we on our life paths? Are we paying attention, or are we just living that mundane, everyday life? Let the days pass by, and I'm gonna. I'm on a YouTube live, so could you come out of here? No, I don't want to do this. No, don't come look. Could you go? Because you're messing in my time, and I want to log off soon. I'll come see you in a minute. Another kid just came home from work. Anyway, I probably should put a note on my door on the outside and lock my door. But anyway, yeah, back to what I was saying was, who says you can't? That's one of the things that um, I say to myself a lot. And I will find for me a lot of the things that stop me is my laziness. Sometimes I'm just lazy and for no apparent reason. And it's like, get up and go do what you need to do. You know, um, some of the things in my life that have occurred to me is because of laziness, and not willing to um, be the early bird to get the worm, you know, um, not willing to feel the pain before the gain, you know. So I'm working on those things. Those are things that I'm working on in my life. What are things that you need to work on in your life to help you? And, I look at why, this has happened to me, or I react this way to certain things. Maybe I feel I have more time, but, who wants to lose out on important things in their lives? You got to get busy. You got to put action behind what you want. So I'm really good at helping other people too, and I'm learning on how to help myself as well. So um, just making sure that I keep myself stable and in action, doing the things that I need to do is how I'm going to achieve what it is that I have passion for in my life. So, what I want to do at this moment in time is I want to talk about my plans of when I'm going to come back on, so that maybe if people want to interact, um, come back, and I will come on again this evening. It's going to be about probably 10 o'clock Eastern, no, Central Time. so we can interact and talk about some other things. If not, I will just come on and do what I'm doing now and talk about a topic, maybe pull some oracle cards, and we'll see. All right, take care.